It's a cruel and terrible thing, yet millions of people would support it. What's even crazier is we used to do it. Is this the answer to the violence and crime that's spreading throughout the United States and the world? Maybe it is. Viewer discretion is advised, and this video might be triggering for some people. The losers, of course, all die, but the winner gains their freedom. That's what happened in 2042, when crime was at an all-time high. Even though every citizen of the United States was forced to turn in their firearms, the bloodshed didn't stop. We all learned that taking away everyone's guns only meant taking them away from the good guys. That's when the former commander of the United States Army, Diane Ulbricht, proposed a brand new solution, a program called Breakout. The program would reduce prison taxes by billions of dollars and get crime off the streets. But it wouldn't just be murderers that were sent to the games. Anyone who was considered dangerous or who had a criminal sentence of 5 years or more in prison would automatically be enlisted in the games. The first game took place in a warehouse in the Mojave Desert. 25 prisoners, or players, were dropped into random locations inside of this warehouse. They then had to scramble to find firearms, pistols, rifles, and then blades and swords and even baseball bats to try and eliminate the other players. Though the results of the very first game were good, there were still some problems. Over 25% of the players refused to fight, with some of them even hiding. And when the buzzer finally rang to end the game, peace officers had to come in and arrest all the players who refused to fight. The second Breakout games were much more successful, taking place in an abandoned baseball stadium. What they did was they implanted a small explosive in every player's skull. And when the game came to an end, if the buzzer rang, they would detonate and everyone would die if there was more than one player standing. Of course, if there was only one player, that person would live and win the games. That's when something huge was announced. Breakout would no longer happen in private warehouses or abandoned stadiums. Diane announced that this year and going forward, the games would take place in an entire city, the former metropolis known as Los Angeles, and the game would be renamed to Breakout City. And to make the news even more shocking, it was announced that this game would be televised on ESPN for the first time in history. 10 years ago, during the Newsom War, Los Angeles had fallen into a state of chaos and anarchy. Millions of people died during the California Civil War. Eventually, East California and West California made an agreement that Los Angeles would become a no man's land, that no one was to touch it. And so there it sat, untouched for years. And to put the icing on the cake, it was announced that volunteers could now join the Breakout games, and the winner would receive $3 million. Here's how this real-life battle royale game worked. 1,000 players would parachute in over the city. And the boundaries were Santa Monica Pier on the west side, downtown Los Angeles on the east side, and then southward it was the old LAX airport, and on the north, the 405 freeway and Beverly Hills. This year there was no timer, but instead 1 million drones that formed a circle with laser-guided boundaries. And what would happen is if a player stepped outside of those boundaries for more than 60 seconds, the explosive in their skull would detonate. When the last player touched the ground, the next ring location will be displayed on the player's arm guard, a LED panel placed on their left forearm. And then each hour, the ring would go smaller. In addition, 4 video drones would follow each player, covering their every move. This allowed fans to watch and tune into their favorite streamers on Twitch, on YouTube, and they could donate battle coins to these players. And then the players could use those coins to unlock boxes in the games. The more expensive the box, the more valuable the item or the weapon. Nothing was off limits within the city. Old skyscrapers, buildings, houses, food, anything left behind, it was yours to use. While the game started with many miles of cities and homes and places you could battle in, the game would end within a 4-block radius, thus bringing all of the players together. And the entire event from start to finish would last 24 hours. When Breakout City launched in June of 2045, it was the most televised event in history. It would get bigger and badder and bloodier as the years progressed. And as it became more popular, more people would join. Former military personnel, contract killers, mercenaries. Yes, American taxes were significantly reduced, and violent crime was virtually non-existent. But we had created something that hadn't been seen since the days of Rome. Yes, many people protested and said it was wrong and inhumane and cruel, but the game still continued forward, and people became obsessed with violence and blood. But not their own blood, of course, just those people on TV. What do you think? If Breakout City existed, would you watch it on TV? Would you donate money to players? Would you volunteer for the game? Let me know in the comments below.